So a shuriken is going to be a ninja throwing star, for those who don't know. And this is a common origami piece, and it will actually require 2 sheets of paper. So I already pre-cut 2 pieces of square paper. If you want to stop the video, if you need to cut out more squares, feel free to do that right now, and we'll continue. I'll just pause for about a second or two to make sure that there's no issue with overlap. But yeah, we'll just get started. Once you're ready, hit that unpause, and we'll move on. Keep in mind, both squares of paper need to be the same size. If you're a little bit off, that's all right. Like I said with the previous one, these are kind of beginner origami pieces. So making things absolutely perfect doesn't necessarily come into play to get a final piece. They can still, you can still get there and have a nice looking piece for the most part if you have a little bit of room for error here and there. But obviously the more precise you are with the paper cutting and folding and everything, the more uniform and nice the piece will look in the end. So we'll just pause for a couple seconds for everybody to catch up. We now have 2 identical squares of paper. So the first thing we're going to do is fold it in half. Now, normally we wouldn't necessarily fold it like we did here for this one, because this fold is not actually a necessary piece. We just got this fold from cutting the 8.5 by 11 piece of copy paper into a square, so that's fine. It won't ultimately change too much of the aesthetic at the end of the piece, so don't worry about that. But ultimately, you can just ignore this fold. Usually you want to reduce as many extraneous folds as you can from origami, because then it can get a little confusing, especially if you do larger scale pieces, things that have more intricate and numerous folds. It can get a little confusing where your marks are, how many folds you're doing, what folds are what. In this case, it shouldn't be a problem, but keep that in mind for the future. So, like I said, we're going to fold this in half so that the edges, top to bottom, line up. And make it a little more precise. Now that we've done that, I'm going to unfold. And we're going to use that fold we made in the middle as a guide to fold the top down. And the bottom you also just turn it and go top to bottom again if that's a little easier for you. Or if you're doing it on the table, that's probably the most easy way. And now that you've got this with flap on top, flap on bottom, sort of like a puppet mouth, you're going to fold in. Do a valley fold. I'm not going to mountain fold. If you mountain fold out so that the edges come up, it actually will cause an issue later on. So make sure you're going to valley fold so that the 2 top and bottom folded edges come together. You have no single unfolded edges, just loose. No extra flaps. Now that we've done that, let's just set this aside for a second, and we're going to do the exact same thing. Other piece. Do you smell something? Well, if you do, it's on you. You know, I mean, this is a video, so must be coming from your side of things. But don't worry, you can trust me. I won't tell anybody. Also, I wouldn't hear you to answer if you did, so. All right. creases. Now that we've got that piece, we should have two identical rectangles, each with a hard folded edge and open faced part with a top and bottom folded edge. So we'll take one, and we're going to start with the open faced part at the bottom. Now this actually is important. It might seem a little silly, but it is extremely important to make sure you know what side is facing up and what is facing down when you make these folds. And that'll come into play in just a second. So you're going to take this corner and you're going to fold it down. So this is actually going to be on my right side, top corner down. And then on my left side, I'm going to take that bottom corner and fold it up. I'm going to make sure I do a nice solid crease on both sides so that they don't pop up any more than they have to. Cool. So now I'm going to take my other page. And with this piece, with the open face still on the bottom, I'm going to actually fold it in the opposite that I folded this one. That's why that's so important. So on the first sheet, I folded my upper right side down. So in this case, I'm going to fold the lower right side up. And then just as I folded the lower left side up in the previous piece, I'm going to do the opposite for this one. I'm going to fold it down. Now also keep in mind that when you fold, you're going to want to fold so both flaps aren't on the same side. You don't want to valley fold one and then mountain fold the other. It just won't really come into play to work well at the end. You will see why. These actually do become tabs that you're going to fold into each other to keep the piece together. There's absolutely no tape or glue with this. Two pieces will unite to create one. And one fun little thing is if you do use two different color papers, just like I did here with the yellow and green sticky notes, it will create a multi-colored shuriken, or in this case, pinwheel. And now we got that, we're going to actually take one piece and we're going to fold so that this edge that's slanted is facing out with the flap on the bottom, and we're going to fold so that the edge of the flap lines up with the edge of what was the top of the piece next to the corner here. So they come together and make this triangle. Then we're going to flip it over and we're going to do exactly the same thing on this side. So when we're done, I gotta tighten the folds and just a little to make them nice and neat. There we go. So now we're done. On one side, you're going to have what looks like two triangles touching each other. And then on the other side, you're going to have sort of this weird semi-bow tie with a point going up, a point going down, and then this rectangular parallelogram in the middle of the two triangles, kind of holding on to them. I will actually put this down on the table and press it flat right now. That way it's a little more sturdy and it won't rise up as much when I do my next step with it later. All right. So now that we've got that one done, we're going to do the same with this one. Since we already did the folds in the opposite way of the other one, we should be good to go. We don't need to compare, but we do want to fold it in the exact same fashion. With the long edge lining up to the short edge of the triangle. Cool. And then same on the other one. Flip and turn, long edge against the short edge triangle. And once again, once you get there, you should have this sort of semi-bow shape with two triangles touching sides of a sort of obtuse equilateral rectangle here, the slanted edges. And I'm once again going to just press the edges on the table to make sure everything is nice and crimped and flat. And that is important because right now we're going to actually fold them together, and it'll be more difficult with the more that the flaps start to pop up.